It has been said repeatedly that in order to become truly affluent, one must have numerous streams of income. This has also been mentioned in previous videos. To be secure, you should ideally have between 3 and 7 sources of income. But there is something that few people comprehend. Having several income streams does not lead to wealth. Many revenue streams are necessary for maintaining wealth. However, there is an alternative route to wealth accumulation. Suppose you are alone in the woods. It is chilly and frightening, and you must survive the night. So what do? Do you create 4 fires and then sit in the middle of them? Or do you build one large fire that will last all night and then sit next to it? It takes the same quantity of wood to build one large fire as it does 4 smaller ones. You may believe that having 4 fires provides a safeguard in the event that one of them goes out. But since they all have far less wood than the large tree, they all have an identical risk of failing. Moreover, you must start the fire 4 times instead of simply once. We're not sure whether you've ever attempted to start a fire without a lighter, but it's not that simple. In this situation, building a single large fire is both simpler and more reliable. After constructing a long-lasting fire that keeps you safe and warm, you have the space to attend to other matters. Similarly to how the fire is a heat stream, cash flow is a revenue stream. Prior to creating another, you must first create one that is acceptable and dependable. To further comprehend this, let's examine the many steps of the money-making process. The initial phase from $0 to $100,000. This is the only life stage that the majority of individuals will ever experience. How many of you have ever had 6 figures in your bank account? The majority of people believe that in order to earn 6 figures a year, you must have multiple revenue streams. However, this is not necessarily the case. It is possible, but it requires more effort than the alternative. Here is an industry secret that few people are aware of. It takes the same amount of effort to earn $100,000 per year as it does to earn $1 million per year. Just consider it for a moment. If you want to tenfold your income, you cannot work tenfold harder. It is not possible. If working 10 hours a day earns you $100,000 per year, you cannot expect that working 100 hours a day will earn you $1 million, because there are only 24 hours in a day and you must sleep and eat 2 of them. And secondly, there is no link between input and output volume. The solution rests in scalability and expansion, not in the amount of elements that comprise you. It is more difficult to create a new income stream than to expand an existing one. So, it is more trustworthy to focus on performing one item increasingly better and for bigger returns in order to earn your first $100,000 each year. Now you can choose a revenue source from one of these 3 categories: being employed as an independent contractor or business development. This is it. There is truly no alternative. In varied degrees of effort, any of these methods can help you earn $100,000 every year. It entails being promoted to an executive position where your yearly income reflects your responsibilities. That signifies better clientele and higher costs for the independent contractor. It entails a more efficient business model with a bigger profit margin. If your job earns $20,000 per year, you cannot work 5 jobs simultaneously. Those who work numerous jobs do so to survive, not to get wealthy, which is a separate matter. If your annual income as a freelancer is $20,000, you cannot take on 5 times as many assignments because you just do not have the time. And if your business only pays you the minimum salary, well, that's the price of conducting business in its early years. Establishing 5 firms, all of which have a slim chance of survival, is not exactly the wisest course of action. If numerous income streams are not the answer to accumulating your first 6 figures, when should you consider them? After earning your first 6 figures, this is a good rule of thumb to follow. Whenever any of these categories puts you in a position to consistently earn 6 figures annually, you can consider adding more income streams. Nevertheless, there is one crucial step you must take first. You must automate your initial source of money. There is no reason to create new ones. if the first still consumes 8 to 10 hours per day. You must discover a means to maintain your starting cash stream while reducing your participation. Can it continue to function without your presence? People have automated their work without their supervisor's knowledge, but that's a different topic for another day. Yet, being an independent contractor requires employing more employees and acquiring more clients. And as a business owner, you must construct a staff that can handle internal matters while you go out and develop new revenue streams, either within the organization or through the sale of additional products and services through another enterprise. It is essential to keep in mind that if you cannot automate your initial source of income initially, starting a new one may not be the ideal decision. There is, however, an essential caution to note here. Some people are able to combine these three categories to generate various income streams, with employment and independent contracting being the most prevalent combination. This is the definition of having a side hustle. Now, they do this in order to transition their primary income from their job to their independent work. They are doing this because it is simpler to grow as a freelancer than as an executive director in a company. Hence, this is how you truly create a revenue stream. And the same applies to your third, fourth, and so on. Property is the lone exception to this rule. You provide a down payment, you acquire a dwelling, and you charge rent. There is no requirement for your presence after the purchase, but it may take years for the property to pay for itself. It is an investment first and a source of income second. Furthermore, are investments considered a source of income? It is somewhat more complicated than that. Investment is a source of revenue. When you have substantial amounts of both money and time. The annualized return on stocks averages 13.8%. That is if no fires break out. For instance, if you were to sell stocks today, you would incur a loss because we are on the cusp of a recession, and the majority of companies are declining substantially. In fact, we produced a video on big stocks that are down more than 50%. Nonetheless, you should check it out following this video. To the point again. Suppose all goes well and you receive an average return of 13.8% on your investments. Return of 13.8% on $1,000 is $138. Therefore, you cannot retire with $138. So, you must start with a respectable quantity of capital to generate profits that are worth mentioning. Also, you require time. You can earn 13.8% this year and 40% the following year. If you need cash now, my friend, you're out of luck. You must allocate sufficient time so that positive returns can accumulate. We're talking about a period of at least 10 years, so should you abandon investments entirely? No, obviously not. It is, after all, free money. In addition, there is a second reason why financially literate individuals invest their hard-earned money: to safeguard and protect those funds for the future. This year was one of the worst years for inflation in the United States. Other nations have it even worse. Things are not looking good on the outside. So, financially savvy individuals are purchasing recession-resistant assets, one of which is art. We're discussing masterpieces, not what your child drew on the refrigerator. Currently, blue chip art refers to high-value artwork that is anticipated to appreciate regardless of economic fluctuations. Investing in art has become practically difficult for those who are not millionaires. This is where our Masterworks partners come in. Masterworks qualifies the paintings of artists such as Banksy and Picasso with the SEC, dividing them into shares so that you might potentially make a profit when they are resold. The results of a masterwork speak for themselves. This year alone, there have been 5 sales, with the last 3 returning $1,721, or 33% net to investors. Masterworks, which has approximately 600,000 subscribers, has paintings that sell out in minutes and is continually producing more to meet demand. In light of the foregoing, what is our advice? Discover your niche and stay with it. You must first meet your basic criteria. You have limited mental energy, therefore you cannot realistically manage too many critical tasks at once. It's just not sustainable. Yet, Once you identify your niche, that's it. As your first source of money begins to cover your daily expenses and you have more mental space, you can consider establishing a secondary source of income. You must devote as much time and effort to this second source of income as you did to the first. We've developed many streams of income, but we always adhere to this method. Start with the first, then move on to the next. If you stretch yourself too thin, you will eventually perform subpar work because you lack sufficient time and resources. And we have also fallen prey to this trap. In the past, we simultaneously began too many side projects, only to find ourselves imprisoned in an endless list of tasks and maintenance, simply to maintain the status quo. What are your thoughts? Inform me in the comment box and click the bell symbol to subscribe to our channel Luxe Mindset.